Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Java. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Tuesday, and it's for August 29th, 2023. So we've got some things going on in the market today. We're still very clearly in high risk zone, looking at our indicator, the aggregate, and also looking at the elements we will be watching, of course. 10-year yield, still at 4.219, below that 4.3 that the market seems to really not like. We've got the relative dollar strength index kind of hovering and staying stable. So mild volatility, and we've got the futures are still looking a bit positive as well. If you like anything in this video, please remember to hit the like. When I go through our calendar today, it's still pretty light. We do have more than yesterday. We'll be watching the home price index at 9 a.m. prior to market opening. And then afterwards, we are watching job data. So this is key because, of course, that's what the Fed says that they use for their data as to whether they're going to hike or not. Currently, traders believe there's about a 20% chance that they will hike another quarter point in September. I'm in that camp that they are going to make that one last hike of quarter point, along with some other central banks, but we'll see how things go. We've got a little bit of time still. So the two stories kind of play into this. The treasury yields, it follows as we're looking into key inflation and jobs data for that very reason, watching what the Federal Reserve will do. And then we are kind of watching also, there's China in the background. So what's going on is they're expecting that China will ease. And if they start their easing program, of course, their stocks and everything will start rising as well. So on the oil and energy front, what we're looking at really, the global markets for oil, crude is rising. We had discussed this before, that the supply issues that are going on are outweighing their concerns for demand for the economy slowing down. So Saudi is keeping kind of a hold on the supply. And then also this story of the Iranian oil that ended up in the US. So they're kind of watching that, and Iran is calling in Swiss diplomats over this now. So this will be kind of interesting to see how that works out. For our stories on the banks that we always keep our eye on, as I said, the Chinese banks are looking to cut their rates on their mortgages and kind of giving their economy this stimulus push. So they're kind of trying to regulate it so it's not too much all at once, dancing around the same thing. But if China does introduce stimulus, it will weaken their yuan and the EU yuan. So we'll keep an eye on that. We did see this story. The San Francisco Fed Bank Supervision Chief, he's leaving October 31st. So basically, he was there during the collapse of SVB and everything that went on when we basically seized Russia and China's money. So he's stepping down now that they don't need him any longer. So we'll keep an eye on our banks. In real estate, I thought this was an interesting story. So they're saying we're likely at peak mortgage rates right now. This is from Zillow co-founder. So just like anything that they've been calling peak oil, peak inflation, kind of makes me cringe when they say peak, because right now, 30-year fixed rate mortgages are sitting at roughly 7.29%. And inflation must continue. So while I think we're going to have a temporary pullback, I am hesitant to say that we are at peak mortgage rates. He could be right, but I just thought this was interesting, and I think that they are going to continue to inflate. So we'll see what happens here. On our labor and retail side, we are supporting that pullback story because on the one side, we're saying that American skilled worker shortage is impacting construction and manufacturing. So if construction is slowing down, then we wouldn't need so many skilled workers in this area. And then in the manufacturing, this is also including chip sector as well as the technologies that we're going back to manufacturing, mainly in Texas. So we'll see how that plays out. On the other side of this, Farmers Insurance is the latest company, cutting 2,400 jobs. That's quite a bit. And so we had just talked about this before about insurance companies are taking a major hit from a lot of these things. And we've got a little bit more about that later. So I'll bring that in for you. So on with our stories regarding retail. Nordstrom, you heard about all the theft that's been happening and all of the commercial real estate that has been taking hit in San Francisco, kind of ghost town now as far as retail and office are concerned. So Nordstrom did close down its flagship store that has been there for over 35 years. So that's kind of a harbinger of the retail sector. We've also got Rite Aid. They're preparing to file for bankruptcy, but this is more related to the opioid crisis that was going on. And they're kind of pinned for it. They've got a lot of lawsuits going on, but also they are a sector for the retail theft and then also the sales going down. So between the declines, they will be filing for bankruptcy. We'll be watching that. Along with the insurance, this is another story that kind of plays into it as well as with the homeowners, is saying that Americans are bailing on their home insurance because the premiums are getting too ridiculous. A lot of companies are pulling out of the disaster areas, as we said that State Farm is now pulling out of areas. So we're going to watch insurance companies because I think that's going to be, it's a larger sector than people realize. So on the lava updates, I thought this was interesting. We've got the hurricane that's coming up in the Gulf. And that also, by the way, is bullish for oil because more demand. But this story caught Fort Myers Beach residents stocking up ahead of Idalia. And it's from AccuWeather, but if you look, they're coming out of a food bank from the food pantry. And it's kind of a sad state of affairs, but this is a little more truthful of what's going on as Americans are watching their costs much more carefully than they have in the past. And so I have my final story that I wanted to bring up. Microsoft president stresses that AI, artificial intelligence, needs quote unquote human control. So Microsoft was one of the larger ones that took over the artificial intelligence and now they've integrated it into their operating system, into Bing. And they're competing. The largest competitors at the moment is also like with Bard and against Google or ChatGPT. So I just think it's interesting that he's stressing that it needs human control. That's where it comes from in the first place. So I've got a little more deep dive into artificial intelligence and these things with the robotics conference that just happened over in Asia. But anyway, with that, I'm going to let you go. I wish you all a green trading day and just a wonderful day in general. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.